Royal Enfield entered the market back in 1955 and ever since has been liberating many a rider. But this time around, they did something very different, something that will shake up the very foundation of how we perceive motorcycles in this country. They envisioned a purpose-built motorcycle, but they ended up granting a million dreams instead. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Royal Enfield Himalayan. Now this bike has a very simple instrument cluster which keeps track of speed, direction, ambient temperature, travel time, service intervals and multiple trip distances. You can access it using this button and check exactly what all you have on offer, and apart from that you also get a directional meter. So Enfield began building this bike from ground up, and here I am sitting atop a brand new LS 410 engine. Now LS stands for long stroke and it is a 411cc single cylinder engine, but this engine is not like Royal Enfield, and when I first started this motor it was something completely different, something that really shocked me out of my bones. The amount of refinement, the amount of technology that has gone into making this engine is something which is really commendable. Now this LS 410 engine is something which is completely different. It feels more refined, it feels more eager to go, more eager to accelerate, and when you're going downhill, the thump, it's completely different from what you would expect on an Enfield. You let the engine regurgitate and you find that connect with the motorcycle. Now the temperature has dropped to about 4 degrees and the wind is blowing and it's pretty cold out here. A thing which we've all faced, and especially owners of Royal Enfield have faced, that it takes time for the engine to warm up. Well, this is something which is completely different. It's not the same, because when you have to start off the engine from scratch and in cold temperature, it doesn't take that much time to warm up. Apart from that, the amount of vibrations that you do get on previous or different Royal Enfield motorcycles, this is not the case with the Himalayan. The Himalayan is very smooth, very refined, and engine vibrations are minimal. The amount of noise that you get from the engine is also reduced. It comes with a counterbalancer which adds weight and it distributes the vibrations. Whatever little vibrations do escape from the engine, it distributes it quite well. So you're not really discomforted by the amount of vibrations that you get in the bike, whether it's the handles or your seat or the ride. It's not that different, and it's not really too troublesome.
Royal Enfield has brought in a whole new level of engineering standard with this bike. The fit and finish, the build quality and ergonomics all seem to have been thoroughly thought out. The new LS 410 has made me a strong believer of this bike. Its capability is immense and feels refined and aggressive. The engine produces 32 Newton meters of torque, which I found to be more than enough to get me up steep inclines even in the second gear. The engine provides adequate volumes of torque right up to the mid-range of the band. The bike has long legs when it comes to traversing through inclines, and one does not need to shift that often on mountain terrain.
What this translates into is a smoother ride at higher gears, even at lower speeds. So climbing over rocks and hills, or just making your way through traffic feels like a breeze. Now this engine has been designed using the most modern technology and materials, so riders now get increased fuel efficiency and low maintenance. Low maintenance? Well, this bike can go 10,000 kilometers without an oil change, and that is something I never imagined Enfield would bring.
The engine makes 24.5 bhp of power, which is not as great as I would have liked it. But then again, its capability and engineering have been focused towards adventure touring. The Himalayan can do a top speed of almost 130 kmph, which I feel is decent by my standards for this class of motorcycle.
Now the Himalayan comes with a 5-speed constant mesh gearbox which is very smooth. We were riding on various terrains and we had to shift almost on the fly.
The rear view mirrors I found would have been placed a bit further out to give a better view. The switchgear is quite good and easy to operate. The headlamps cast a decent beam, and riding through fog and rain, it aided me a lot. The suspension setup on the Himalayan is on the stiffer side. It is well suited for off-road conditions, but a bit stiff for tarmac. The bike, however, does lend you a lot of confidence and aids you through various terrain, be it slush, gravel, snow or tarmac. The engine noise and vibrations are negligible, unlike any Enfield I've ridden so far. The throttle response on the bike is quite good, but I feel it would have been better if it were a fuel-injected technology rather than a carbureted fuel delivery system. There may be a minute loss of power as well at higher altitudes, but it's not a major worry. The braking setup is progressive with a 300mm disc in the front and a 240mm disc in the rear. For off-road riding, I found the brakes to be really well tuned, but for tarmac, ABS would have been a very welcome move. The discs have, however, been borrowed from another Enfield bike and have been retuned for the Himalayan. The bike is quite comfortable to ride and does not really intimidate you. At first glance, it can look imposing, but when you hop on the saddle and make a move, it feels quite nimble. The front tire is a 90x90 R21, while the rear is a 120x90 R17 from Seat. The tires performed well on almost all the terrain we encountered. The bike is also very agile and can be maneuvered with ease. Making sharp turns off-road was not really a hassle, and leaning in corners felt like a breeze.
Now there's an ergonomical sync between the handlebars, the foot pegs and the rider seat height, which has been set at 800 mm. When I was riding this vehicle and I was riding on really rough terrain, it was comfortable. Not once did I feel that my feet couldn't be planted to the ground, and not once did I feel that I was not in control. This bike is not gonna challenge you. It's not gonna make you feel like you're overwhelmed, that you cannot have control. It aids you on your journey through whatever terrain you're going to be going through. This is something which is a weapon that is going to aid you through your adventure.
The seats are also quite comfy and provide a good amount of cushion. There are many mounting spots designed into the bike and come as standard. You get a luggage rack in the rear which can carry up to 12 kgs of luggage on either side. The front gets mounting spots for jerry cans as well. The Himalayan is quite simple looking, but therein lies the beauty of it. The design accentuates the rugged appeal and ability of this bike. Currently, the bike will be offered in two different colors, granite and snow. The silencer makes a growl rather than a thump, but is not any less satisfying to the soul. The Himalayan behaves well on and off tarmac. The bike gives you complete control and assists you in various maneuvers. We did get our tail out a couple of times on muddy and wet surfaces, but all falls back in line once you throttle up. The overall ride and handling of the bike is very appealing, and this bike is definitely a winner when it comes to rider comfort. We traversed through various terrains for almost 200 kilometers, but the journey was not tiring at all.
We've faced snow, we've faced slush, we've faced really bad roads, whether it's tarmac, broken or dirt roads. It will take you almost anywhere you want to go, and even in the second and third gears, even while you're riding up steep slopes, the amount of torque that you get in the mid-range is also enough to get you out there. So if it's adventure that you're craving, if it's really getting out into the unknown and exploring, and if that is what you're looking for, then this is the weapon of choice. This is the answer to the call of the mountain.
Facelifted one with a lot of changes in the front and a lot of exciting features inside. It also comes with a new 6-speed AMT, the first in the country, the first in the segment.